Hey there, it's Teresa here, and welcome to another episode of Conversations from My Couch, where you'll find me here every Wednesday talking about all things technology. Hi, I'm Teresa Yunkin, a technology strategist, passionate about healthcare, emerging technologies, and collaborative leadership. And I work with leaders to get laser focused to manage the change new technologies bring to their industry and to manage change and lead inspired teams that deliver powerful results. So last week we talked about watching the smoke signals in the market when it comes to blockchain and Web3. We saw big money entering the blockchain technology market, investing trillions of dollars into building the technological foundations needed to support the change that this new technology brings. Well, we all know that where there's smoke, there's fire. And right now cryptocurrency is super hot and everybody wants their piece of the pie, including the government. Now, I'm not going to debate whether the government should be involved, but I'm rather going to report on where they are becoming involved right now. So, when Bitcoin hit its all-time high of over 68,000, everybody took notice last year. Well, in November 2021, we see the President's Working Group on Financial Markets, and they are a government industry body. They released a report on stablecoins that urged Congress to pass new legislation to fill regulatory gaps. And Gary Gensler, the chairman of the Securities and Exchange Commission, the SEC, cited similarities between stablecoins and stable value funds and said that the SEC and the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, and you're going to hear this more and more, the CFTC will deploy the full protections of the federal securities laws and the Commodity Exchange Act to these products and arrangements where it's applicable. So we saw some of that last week with the Kim Kardashian incident. Now, and the fines that she had to pay. Now, one would have thought that when Bitcoin's value dropped, the focus on these cryptocurrencies and digital assets would have lessened. Well, that's not so. 2022 has witnessed a wave of new legislation in every branch of the government. In February of this year, congressional representatives Suzanne DelBene from Washington and David Schweikart from Arizona introduced the Virtual Currency Tax Fairness Act. Now, that's a bipartisan bill that would create a workable structure for taxing purchases made with virtual currencies, also known as cryptocurrency, further strengthening the legitimacy of a virtual currency in our digital economy. Now, the legislation was also co-sponsored by Representatives Darren Soto and Tom Emmer. Then in March, there was the White House executive order on ensuring responsible development of digital assets. Now, when that was issued, it was the first whole of government approach to addressing the risks and harnessing the potential benefits of the underlying technologies. And the executive order goes on to state, we should prioritize timely assessments of potential benefits and risks under various designs to ensure that the United States remains a leader in the international financial system. In June, we see another bipartisan crypto bill named the Responsible Financial Innovation Act, and that was from Senators Cynthia Lummis of Wyoming and Kristen Gillibrand of New York. And they're seeking to extend a comprehensive set of regulations across digital assets in the US. Now, their bill would detangle small scale purchases of goods and services from the tangle of tax implications by making transactions of less than $200 tax free. Think about having to record capital gains every time that you bought something with crypto, or trying to value like what it was when you started it, when you bought your crypto and what it's worth now when you purchased. It's very, very complicated. So this bill will allow cryptocurrency to function more like a traditional fiat currency. And those are things that we're more familiar with, right? Dollars and cents. And as we expected, the legislation would grant the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, the CFTC, oversight and authority of crypto in the US. So I was listening to an interview on NPR's All Things Considered, and Senator Gillibrand described that this landmark bill will provide clarity to both industry and regulators while also maintaining the flexibility to account for the ongoing evolution of the digital assets market. So the bill suggests that the creation of an industry sandbox, like a play which regulators will let crypto firms test new products on a limited scale and duration. And we see that happens in other industries where there's technological advancements. In other words, what this means is that they're going to support innovation, which we so need. And when we get to July of 2022, we see the introduction of the U.S. Senate Banking Committee Ranking Member Pat Toomey and Senator Kristen Sinema of Arizona also talk about the Virtual Currency Tax Fairness Act. Now, this legislation aims to simplify the use of digital assets for everyday purchases. Do you see the thread going here? So, this bipartisan legislation exempts small personal transactions that use virtual currencies for goods and services from taxation. Again, we're talking about small dollar amounts, and how do we make this become more normalized without penalizing innovation and people using and the adoption of this technology? So on September the 16th, 2022, the White House releases its first ever comprehensive framework for responsible development of digital assets. Remember the executive order back in March? This is the second part to that. Now, this framework reflects the input and expertise of diverse stakeholders across government, industry, academia, and civil society. And there's a lot that's in here, and I've narrowed it down to the pillars of the framework. So we've got 7 pillars. Number 1 is to protect consumers, investors, and businesses. Number 2, to promote access to safe, affordable financial services. Number 3, fostering financial stability. 4, advancing responsible innovation. 5, reinforcing our global financial leadership and competitiveness. 6, fighting illicit finance. And number 7, exploring a U.S. central bank digital currency. You'll also start to hear in the industry buzz about CBDCs. So, what does this all mean? Well, with the midterm elections coming up, there's probably not going to be any new legislation passed this year, right? It's very contentious, and we're probably not going to see a whole lot get passed until after the midterm elections. There is a silver lining to this cloud. Even though the legislation doesn't get passed, we know that everybody in the government, from the executive to Congress to Senate, they're looking at this new blockchain technology. They're looking at cryptocurrencies and trying to figure out how the US is going to play, not only in our own national market, but in the federal market. And you, as business owners and as concerned citizens, you're going to have opportunities because you're involved in blockchain, in cryptocurrencies, and Web3, to take a trip to Washington and to really have your voice heard, to provide education, and to tell them with your boots on the ground experience, inform legislators to help them build this the new ecosystem, and also to guide the rulemaking. So important. We don't want people making laws who don't understand the industry. We are in a very powerful place as we, the people, at this moment. It's very exciting to me. So I know that this has been a lot of information, very wonky. So I've included the links to all of the resources in the description. Now, with a combination of big money and the input from the White House on down, both sides of the aisle, change is coming. So I'm asking you, how will you manage those changes in your industry and your business? Are you going to be proactive, or will you be reactive? Now is the time to start these conversations at your higher levels in your businesses. Reach out and book a call with me to discuss where the market is heading and to start educating your leadership on this new technological ecosystem right now, and to figure out what your strategy is going to be. I encourage you to be proactive and not reactive. All right, guys. Thank you for joining me here. Next week, we're going to do a really cool comparison. I saw from the Blockchain Council, they put out this great graphic around what it looks like now and what does it mean to be participating in Web3, a comparison of the technologies, ideologies, and also functionality. So we'll talk about that next week, and I'm going to catch you here next week having another conversation from my couch about all things technology, strategy, and healthcare. All right, guys. I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Peace.